Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 365 Message Center show. Today, we've got a lot of topics, including Teams and Outlook and file management and accessing links. So let's dive right into it. Roll it.
Diving. No.
Daryl.
Daniel Glenn. DG! That's how you appear
What's
in Teams
up?
when you come online. It's just the big
Yep,
DG right there.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee, the home of the floods. That's right. We are, we've had rain for, I can't remember a day when we didn't have rain. And we are at historical flood stages or rain stages. We've had more rain in the month of February than any other February ever.
Yeah. That sounds like our non-climate changes, you know?
Yeah.
But let's
So,
not take it down that path.
no,
Wow, okay. Well, yeah, we are finally getting rain. It's been quite dry recently.
nice.
Yep, and I could look out my office and see the lawn is growing at just about a pace that I can see the changes. Yeah, not looking forward to mowing that lot.
Yeah, so get
Anyway,
out that mower.
yeah. So this week, I know there are a few updates there that affect
Yep,
our end users, and ultimately everything does. But it's
sure.
predominantly about improving the admin experience and
Yep,
some of the things that you would need to manage your Office 365 tenant
yep.
more effectively. Let's have a look at what we've got. We're starting with changing the default SharePoint Admin Center experience.
So I'm going to interrupt you. I actually haven't a planned maintenance for Skype for Business. Just want to say I have that
Oh, you do?
February.
Okay.
I do,
Hmm.
but it's for February 24th from 4 in the morning to 9 in the morning UTC. So it's already passed. So we're all good. But that's MC 173692. So yes, moving on to the changing the default SharePoint Admin Center.
All right. Yeah.
And this is something we've been able to toggle for a while, right, Daryl?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, even now, as I went to go check it out, it loads up the classic, and then I can go in and have a look at the. Well, let's have a look at this quickly. I do have it open. There we go. So my splash screen comes in, and I like the way that as it loads up, it tells me, here's what you can do, and coming soon. And
I
we've
love the
seen this on
coming
a
soon.
couple of apps or a couple of applications that upgrade. That it
Mhm.
says, you might be in the preview state at the moment. Here's what you can and can't do at this stage before switching over to the new experience.
Yes, and I think one of those will be uh, is really being looked forward to is the middle one in the coming soon, change site URLs. So this is the new experience. It's got additional functionality, and for SharePoint administrators, this is where we all went to when we had to start managing hubs
Hmm.
because we couldn't do that in the class. We still can't do it in the classic admin experience. And so that's where you come to do that and look
Yep.
at where sites are connected to hubs and if they're hubs themselves. And so, those new modern experiences, this is where you come to get to that functionality.
Yep. So team sites that are attached to Office 365 groups, therefore
Hmm.
Teams, Yammer, Outlook, etc.
Hmm.
The thing I notice about this uh, message is it's rolling it out first of all to organizations of 50 users or less that have
Hmm.
been licensed, and
Yeah.
it's starting small, but it feels like it's familiar to when they started to shift organizations from Skype to Teams.
Hmm.
Remember, they're supposed to start off with small orgs that aren't really using Skype for Business Online. Let's
Hmm.
shift you just gently over to Teams, and this is another gradual dip of your toes in the water. 50 users or less.
Well, I'd like to know the numbers for organizations that are 50 users or less. Like what kind of percentage of the user base is that for Microsoft? That would be interesting. But yes, it is for those organizations with 50 or fewer are going to get the new experience instead of the classic experience. And I like the new experience. So it's good.
Yep.
That's what I would say.
I get this experience in other cloud products as well, like trying to manage our YouTube channel for Guardian 365. And they start off with that new dashboard or something like they do here in Office 365 and gradually move you over. But they give you the option to change back to Classic if there's something here that you feel it's missing for your management. So they've certainly done that. But more often than not, you're going to see things will be working the way that they should for this experience.
Right.
So that was what was it coming at your when late March and rolling out to standard release customers to begin with. No user impact directly, mostly about admins.
That's right.
Now this one is what is it? Feature update for
Admin Center support updates. Yes, this is very. Oh, this is so in depth, and I want to camp out here for a while there. A little sarcasm there. This is about when you are getting support through the Admin Center and being able to kind of get the full history of what's going on with that ticket rather than, kind of only seeing a little bit of the information. So I am and giving more tools for you to, get your, ticket resolved and get it going. I think they're all about getting tickets resolved. I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the number of tickets that are out there that, because they follow up with you if they haven't heard from you in a while, and then they'll go ahead and close it if they haven't heard from you in a while after that. I wouldn't be surprised that a majority of the time that tickets are open are waiting on the customer to acknowledge that it was fixed and to actually say, yes, please close the ticket. So, get more tools in your hands to, know what the resolution steps are, callback scheduling, all of that, but being able to see the full view. So this is good for those that are managing tickets, right? And I would think that would be a good thing, right? For, more power to the people, more information to the people when they're handling.
Yeah, that's right. It's recognition that it's still about a partnership between you and Microsoft in terms of managing your IT. It is cloud-based, but trying to give you more visibility over that support process, seeing more of that history so you can track back and say what was actually said and how was that done. It's been a while since I've had to log a ticket, but it's nice also to see that it looks like they're going to display the resolution steps distinctly within the ticket too, so you can see it in the ticket and I need to follow these steps to resolve the issue. More space to write down your issue, export your case history, define your own case severity. I think it's important. I think it's urgent. I disagree. I don't know how that. Yeah, there's often been fun with that sort of thing. Yes. But yeah, it's good. Now, first calendar. Some of these messages we have today are quite vague around the when are things arriving. But this one, first calendar quarter of 2019, before the end of March, is one way to describe it.
That's what. Right. The first quarter ends in March, and so it's
calendar quarter, too. They say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we sometimes get financial quarter, and I just hate it when they say that. It's like, well, I don't know when your quarter is. Don't follow you that closely. Targeted release admins. Anyway, moving on to. No, this one I saw it come in as a major update in an email, and had a quick look during the week, and thought this is good news for those who are using Teams in Teams only mode and want to be able to book Teams meetings from their Outlook mobile calendar. Yeah?
Yes. It is, I think, getting that consistent experience. If I'm in mobile and I'm scheduling a meeting and we're in Teams, we're a Teams organization, then I should be able to schedule a Teams meeting, right? In Outlook mobile, I think the hairiness comes in, the complication comes in when you're talking about organizations that are not Teams only.
Yeah.
Right, Daryl?
Well, there's still a fair few of us that are in between.
Mm-hmm.
We, still waiting for Teams to do a few more things that we need it to.
Yeah.
And gradually moving over an org, even if it is an organization of 200 people or so, if you're the only admin, the only sysadmin in your org, it does take a bit of organizing. And so there are still some out there that are in that half and half kind of mode. Now, the confusing thing that I find with this message, and I don't know if they're trying to just cover both bases, but explaining it in two ways, is that they say you'll need, for those in Teams only mode, the Outlook mobile customer will see the ability to create a Teams meeting. And we've seen that little switch there before when we use Skype. If you're in Teams and Skype mode, then it says you'll also see it, but it'll replace the Skype switch. Same thing, right?
Same difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's your Outlook desktop environment like at the moment? Do you see both or one or the other?
Yeah, in the calendar, I see both. We are in standard release, and for the Office client, that means we're in the 6-month release cycle.
Yep.
So we have a Teams and a Skype, and Outlook for web. I actually have a drop down to select Teams, Skype. But in the mobile experience, I'm looking at it right now, and it only has a Skype.
Yeah.
Right. It right there is a toggle switch for Skype meeting. So it's not consistent. It's not, and we're in mixed. We have Skype and Teams, and it's just not consistent at all. So if I want to schedule a Teams meeting, I can't do it on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Outlook.
Well, you talk about an Outlook on the web. I'm using the new preview view, which shouldn't affect whether or not I, am seeing Teams or Skype, because that's services in the background. But what I see is the Teams option, and only the Teams option, and in Outlook on my desktop, I see only the Teams option now too.
Wow.
Yeah. Even if I switch back to out of the preview mode and I'm looking at just your Outlook 2016, well, I think you and I were trying to sort of think about what would we say is an action or number of actions for us to think about for user adoption here, because this change is positive for those who want to create Teams meetings when they're on the go on the Outlook mobile, but across the board, it's a really mixed experience, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's where it comes in, is being prepared that hopefully this is not the case, but it may be that some of your users are going to have a different experience than others. And so being ready to help users understand where they are, and if they're like you and they have only Teams here and they normally use Skype, then helping them understand if they need to schedule a Skype meeting, how would they do that? And then, or maybe help them get on board with Teams. And because we have to face it, Skype for Business online is going away. We're not going to have the client anymore after a while, and it's next year, isn't it? I think, I don't know, I can't remember, but it's going away. They've told us that. So it is, this is part of change. We're going to have to get used to using Teams, but I think that's kind of the adoption strategy here, is to be ready to help users that don't have the option that they normally have, right? And if they're trying to schedule a Skype meeting, how do they do that then? When they don't even have it in the option.
Taking my own example, in our org, we still support customers who use Skype, whether it be on-prem or online. And so, we want to be able to present, demo, do all those sorts of things if we don't have access to their environment. But my own experience is I can't create a Skype meeting. I've got to create a Teams meeting from Outlook on the web, Outlook on my desktop, or if I want to create a Skype meeting, I've got to do it from my mobile for now, till this thing rolls up. Yeah. Right. Now, I would say, it's one thing for us to say, look, prepare your people, and if they come in with drips and drabs that some have got it, some haven't, and our answer is, well, you got to use Teams now. Are we in a position, or how many orgs are in a position to then give people meetings training within Teams if they haven't already done so? And can they do that in a scatter kind of fashion? No, I think we have to start planning to just get on with that Teams adoption strategy, and at the very least to address the meetings experience. Don't worry about all the collaborative stuff. If you can, if you want to just take your time, turn some of that off till you're ready, if that's your approach, and just focus on the meeting experience, because it's certainly,
I agree,
arriving.
It is, and I actually 100% agree with you that if you are an organization that can handle the adoption of Teams and the multifaceted adoption, then go for it. But if not, then focus on that meeting experience, because two reasons. One, the meeting experience is, in my opinion, way better. There are some things about it that Skype does a little bit better, but for the most part, Teams does a great job in the meeting experience. But the second reason why is it's kind of being forced on you right now. So it's the one thing that you're not going to have much control over after a while anyway. So dive in with the meeting experience.
Something just occurred to me too, and hopefully this doesn't affect this audience or crowd. I read a good post from Stephen Collier recently, and he was talking about the Polycom trios, those conference phones that you can get, and they're basically three legs. They've got a display, and they're great for conference phones and audio. And apparently the backstory behind it is that it was never really designed to display a Skype meeting. That came later when they added something called the Visual Plus module. And that was Polycom's own version of a Skype client, never certified. And and so the now that they're moving to Teams only and sort of the Teams environment, they haven't made an effort to create a Teams client for their Polycom
new device.
Or you have to use an interop service,
right?
Like Blue Jeans or Pixip, our mates Pixip. Well, this is going to affect them too. If they're being pushed to start having to create Teams meetings, but their meeting rooms are not ready yet, maybe this is a bigger conversation.
I think, and it may be, but I actually during Ignite worked the meeting devices, the IP phones area and the Teams area on the floor, and I had a lot of conversations with people about the hardware and such, and the feeling I got was, you buy into the device, the experience. I mean, it's what do we want our conference experience to be like? And you buy the devices, you get it set up, and then when something like this changes, I mean, it's not just we'll just have to switch over. It's a major expense. And it's an experience difference, right, for your users, and so it may be, like you just said, it may actually be a bigger thing.
Interested to hear what you think. Tell us in the chat.
Yes.
or hit us up online, definitely. Moving along with another, I think you said when you saw this one, finally good. We're making a change to non-delivery report notifications. They will bounce now after 24 hours instead of 48 hours if they can't deliver your message. Hoorah.
I'd be interested to understand or hear from people, did you know that it could take up to 48 hours before you find out whether or not your email that you've sent was actually received? I think in this day and age, we expect a very quick turnaround that, I'm working an email and I send an email off. If I don't see something come up and say, it hasn't been delivered within a few minutes, then I'm going to assume that it was delivered and I'm going to move on. If I get a notification 48 hours later that it wasn't delivered, I'm like, what was I even, what was I thinking about 48 hours earlier? And how do I, so this going to 24 hours, I think is in the right direction, but even 24 hours seems a little bit long, but this is a good thing. Give us a little bit more notice. And I think one thing that's driving this is even the small shops of email services have more redundancy, more capability of staying up. And so, it really doesn't take that long for services to be available again. And there's some exceptions, yes, but I think it's a sign of the times. We're getting better at this. So, narrowing down the window is good, I think.
Definitely. Right. Well, speaking of mobile apps, the Office 365 mobile app is changing to the Microsoft 365 admin app. I did say admin app beginning, didn't I?
Yeah.
Admin mobile app. Yeah. Anyway.
This seems kind of like it should have happened a long time ago, right? Because the admin center was renamed months ago.
Yep.
So you use the Office 365 admin app to connect to the Microsoft 365 admin center. So, so this is, I think, a long time coming. But you mentioned that, about the new functionality that's coming and how that, might play into the rename as well, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of capabilities being added so that you can manage corporate devices. The ability to restore corporate devices to factory state and remove corporate data. I'm sure they meant to write data. Remove corporate data from personal devices. This is something that we could do using when it was just connected to an Exchange mailbox, and you could do certain things from there. Now, being able to do this from the Microsoft 365 admin app, this feels like here's a couple of things that are within the scope of Microsoft 365, device security, Windows potentially too, because that's considered a corporate device. That makes it, the start of being able to manage the Microsoft 365 desktop or productivity experience. So first two to start with, I expect to see more coming later to be able to manage from the admin app.
Correct. And this is another one of those vague timings, late first quarter of calendar year 2019. But remember, they're kind of relying on the app stores updating, and so it's not necessarily all the way in Microsoft's control. But yeah, it'll be rolling out pretty soon.
Additional information and Microsoft Tech Community will be updated with additional details. Well,
nice.
let's try both. See what they come up with. One of them is the Tech Community blog, Microsoft 365 blog. So pointing you to the blog to say there will be something coming. Right. Keep a watch there. And this looks to be more about the mobile app, which is still, of course, the Office 365
That's
app.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So just the additional information isn't ready yet, but it's just done in a slightly different way. Look here and here, which they'll probably put out an app, rather a new message when they come close to the time to do it. Right. A few more to go. This one, open file links directly in Office desktop apps. What is this specifically about, Daniel?
I've dealt with this so many times with customers. In fact, with a current customer that I'm helping with their intranet, this was an issue, and they're like, "Why does it behave this way?" So when you have a link to a document in OneDrive or SharePoint, you click on it. What happens? It opens up in the browser. We have this wonderful Office for the web. It works great, but there are some limitations. And it doesn't do everything that the Windows app, the traditional thick client or whatever you want to call it, the Windows app does. So, people like using the full version of Word, Excel, PowerPoint to do their content editing and creating. Others enjoy the web. So what this is doing is giving people an option to select whether they want to open it up in the web, which is the default now, or open up in the client. If you want to open up in the client now, right, Daryl, it opens up in the web, and then you have to go through the steps of saying, I want to open it up in the client, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, Have you run into this as an issue? Do you see any issues with this change at all as they're proposing it,
I think,
or as they're going to do?
well, what you and I were talking about is it's favouring one working style over another. At the moment, it favours, let's open up a version of this document in the browser. And I mean, the way I see it, I confirm, yes, that's the one that I'm after. And then I can choose, do I want to edit it in my desktop or in the browser? Right. Now, going back to something else too, was it classic SharePoint mode where you could make that the default behavior? It would always open the document first on your desktop. Can you? I think you can do that in modern too, can't you?
That's a very good question. I do not know the answer.
I'll have to say, look, I experienced this for a little while at Adopt and Embrace. I was seeing that I would open up a document link and it would open directly on the desktop. And I don't know who made the change in that setting, but it wasn't me. But we've only got assumptions to make about what this will look like, hey, Dan?
Mm-hmm. That's right. We don't have... The additional information doesn't show us what it's going to look like, what the experience is going to look like. We're kind of guessing as to what it's going to do. We do know some scenarios that don't work, and that's part of the additional information there. And one of those is I think, very surprising, and that's the Microsoft Teams. This won't work in Microsoft Teams right now. This is just links that are in SharePoint and OneDrive. Now, that can give a little bit of pause, because where are files that are stored in Teams? OneDrive and SharePoint.
Teams files, isn't it? No. Yeah.
Right. So I think, it depends on how you share the link. If you're sharing it from within Teams and get that Teams link, then it's not going to work. If it's shared directly from OneDrive or SharePoint, then it will.
Yep. That's how I would interpret it. That's there's a third scenario there for Teams for opening up content there.
Yes, just confirming, modern document library still has that setting on whether you want to open up in the client application of the browser or use the default, which the server default for SharePoint Online is opening it up in the browser.
So that's when you're launching it from a document library. And this is talking about just links in general. Right. It could be a shared link in an email that says, here's a document, it lives in SharePoint. Exactly. You're opening it from your email client, and it was going to come up with, well, where do you want to open it? In the browser or on your desktop?
Well, and I do that all the time, sharing documents. I've gotten into the groove of, instead of, grabbing a link or whatever, I'll just go back and share it. Even if I've shared it with them already before, I'll just go back to it and say share again. But I think it's a good thing. But it will add that additional step, right? For those that have been using and they're working with documents in the browser and that's what they're used to, they're going to have to select they want to keep doing that. So, just an extra step there.
Yep. Once we know what this looks like, we can inform our users.
Yes.
It's not huge, but it's something to say, look, this is what it'll look like. Potentially, we'll see it at the same time they do.
Yep.
All right. So there's also a change to Microsoft Teams and managing app permissions. Now, when we think of apps in Teams, this can include your general apps, third-party apps, apps that you create that are side-loaded from your own organization that no one else has. You've created something special. You're going to be able to manage them from the new Teams Admin Center, and you can create policies around who can see what. So you could present a set of apps to the finance department or to the marketing department and say, here's yours. You get to choose from here, but you don't need those finance ones, so we won't even present them to you.
Right.
So that's good to be able to have that and have those policies governing that. Again, we said there's a few messages in here that are favoring admins, but I guess it does affect your end user or even your team owner experience, because an owner will go in, and if they're given those permissions, they'll be able to go in and find the various apps that their team might need. So you're really getting a streamlined experience with this policy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well
Not much
said,
more to say
Daryl.
about that. Yeah. Thanks
Nope.
very much. Gradually rolling out to customers in early March. A
That's
lot
right.
coming in March. Nice to. So
Yes.
not the first quarter of the 2019, but early March. Same thing, but
March.
anyway.
Yes.
Um,
Last but
lastly,
not least, so you're managing your group membership, your Office 365 group membership. How do you manage that, Daryl? You go into you have to go in, you have to click on group members, and then click, and if to approve and reject, members into that group. It's a pretty complicated experience. But what if we're working in Outlook here? It's an Outlook, focused group. That's how people are working with this group. So I'm in Outlook. Wouldn't it be great if you could, accept those members or deny the membership right within email instead of having to go into settings and such? Wouldn't that be great, Daryl?
Yeah, no, it would be. Yeah.
Well, you're in luck.
You're
Have
in
I
luck.
got a deal for you?
Yeah. And you know what? You've already paid for this. No, first point to make too is that this is, as I read it, for groups in Outlook. We know that an Office 365 group is behind groups in Outlook, Yammer groups, Teams. But this is about when you have chosen email to be your team collaboration communication experience, then you can manage the membership requests within Outlook. You can already add people, remove people from Outlook, but now you'll be able to manage those requests.
Yep.
Yes, a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Thumbs up.
And we're all about helping and enabling people to work the way they need to work. And that's what Microsoft has said. I think some of the way we've seen things is that maybe those people who work in email are getting, kind of shoved to the side a little bit with, the push of Teams and Yammer and such. But that's what Microsoft has said, and that's what everyone's saying, not just Microsoft. It's work the way you need to work, right? And the way your group, your team, you work together, do that. And so, if you're doing that in Outlook, then okay, well, managing your membership here is going to be, I think, a little easier. So
Yep. So this affects group owners, and in that sense, if you think of it as an adoption note, it is affecting end users who own their own Outlook groups and manage that group of collaborative people. Their experience will be a little different, so let them know that this is coming, and where you can try and explore that experience beforehand, so that you know for yourself what that looks like within Outlook. I expect Outlook and Outlook on the web will have the ability to manage. It'll take you to a link that'll take you to do something within Outlook. But yeah, that's good. Now that brings us to the end of our messages. A couple of things that I wanted to mention coming up. We have another discussion debate from Regarding 365. And the topic this time is going to be where can we collaborate and communicate privately in Microsoft 365?
it's private.
It is private. Where can we do that?
And
what are our choices, and where do things come in, like requests for private channels or private groups and Yammer and all those sorts of things. We've got a lot of choice. And there's actually some strong opinions too around whether or not effort should be put into that choice, or whether should we use what we already have. So look to that. That's going to be the 29th. It's 29th. It's the 28th. There's no 29th this year. 28th of February
That's
at
next
1
year.
p.m. 1 p.m. Pacific time. I'll leave you to do the conversions. Just to say it's 10 o'clock in New Zealand on the 1st
I thought you were going to
March.
leave it to us to do the
Kiwis.
conversion. Why are you doing?
That's for you there, Suzanne Hunt, and other Kiwis.
Nice.
So do attend that. And what else have we got on?
We've got
What else?
even another debate that's being formed.
And
so
on a hush-hush topic.
Yeah, you'll be hearing more about that, of course. And the group, a lot of us of Regarding 365 will be getting together next month in March. So that'll be exciting. You'll be seeing a lot of posts from us with pictures of us together, and but also, we're going to be getting together and creating content. Of course, that's
Yep.
what we do.
Yep.
We're going to be I know that. I know we'll be recording several things while we are all together. And one of those I know is another coffee chat episode will be
Oh, cool.
recorded. We may actually do an episode even before then. So, yeah. So just want to give everybody a heads up in March, the middle of March, we're all getting together and we're going to have some fun. So
Awesome.
not
Awesome.
all of us, but a lot of us.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's us for this week. And tune in next week when you hear Dr. Bob say, "Oh, sorry, that was a quote from
Yes.
the old Muppet Show." Well, see you again. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.